Why do you always expect the worst in life? Think about every time in your life when you've said, I knew that was going to happen, and it happened. What was that? Did you become a prophet? The truth lies in frequency, and the truth is you created it with a power that's been hidden in front of your face your whole life. Expectancy. Expectancy creates reality, and the world has trained you to expect the worst so you can manifest the worst. And expectancy is more powerful than any affirmation, vision board, or visualization. And I'm going to show you how the world has been using it against you so you can flip the script and create your desired reality now. Why is expectation more powerful than any technique? Well, what you expect is what you get. And most people will die never knowing this. When you expect something, that means you're anticipating it. Think about like a boxer. When he's in the ring, he has to anticipate his opponent's punches. Anticipate is a form of preparation, and this is where we uncover the secret frequency of expectation. When you prepare for something, that means you know it's going to happen, and that's the key that will unlock your desired reality every single time. Knowing. Most people think that manifestation is believing, and that's why they will never manifest. Believing is not enough. I need you to drill this into your head. Manifestation is not about believing. It is not enough. When you believe something, that means it's not a fact. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you believe that when you flick your light switch, it's going to turn on? Or do you know it will?
I want the #1 spot. I will have it.
That's the same level of conviction that you have to have for your desired reality and expecting it to be here.
Everybody wants to know what I would do if I didn't win. I guess we'll never know.
Now, 6.8 billion people across the world claim to have faith, but none of them really know what faith is. The world sold you a fake version of what faith is.
242 million. Sold a fake airport for 242 million.
And that is why having faith never works for Christians. And I say this as somebody who grew up watching people pray for things year after year, and it never changed for them. Now, the moment that you know the true hidden meaning, the true esoteric meaning of faith, everything in your reality will change. True esoteric faith is a prerequisite for creating the reality that you want. Now, faith these days is associated with trusting in the unseen, and that's exactly where you're going wrong. The etymological origins of the word faith goes to the Latin word fides. Fides meant confidence, but what it really meant was a state of conviction. When you think faith is about trust, you trust that your life will change, but that leaves room for doubt. It's not really certain. You must cultivate an internal conviction of expecting your desired reality to come. Now, if I can convince you otherwise, the frequency that you send out to the universe won't be strong enough. Conviction leaves no room for doubt. I couldn't convince you that your name isn't your name, and that's the level of conviction you need to apply. And that's exactly the frequency that expectancy taps into. Knowing, confidence, and conviction. Those are the words you need to manifest. Now that you understand the power of expectancy, let me show you how they've been using it against you your whole life. They trained you to expect the worst. How many times in life do you expect the worst? Isn't it weird that you expect the worst more than you expect the best? Why? It's almost easier and more normal to expect the worst, right? Why? It all comes down to one thing: programming, conditioning, training. The world has trained you to expect the worst so you can manifest the worst. Most people expect the worst for two reasons. One, they've been sold the idea of the worst, or two, they've experienced it. Let's look at the first reason. If you want to create your desired reality, then you can't live in the world. If you live in the world, you will never manifest what you want. You must live in your own world. AJ, rewind that because they might go over their heads. If you want to create your desired reality, then you can't live in the world. If you live in the world, you will never manifest what you want. You need to quite literally create your own bubble and live in it. Anything that does not align with your desired reality must be filtered out. Stop trying to live in the world. Create your own and be consumed by it. The world only sells limitation and lower vibration, and if you don't disconnect from what the world is trying to sell you, you're going to be trapped by it. Take the concept of a recession. The world will sell you the idea that there will be financial difficulty, unemployment, and layoffs. It will repeat this again and again and again to a point where you expect it. Then what happens? You experience financial difficulty, you experience unemployment, you potentially get laid off, things are hard for you. Why? Not because the world was right, but because they sold you an idea that was the worst and you expected it. Remember, you get what you expect. Now let's look at the second reason. Whenever we go through the worst in life, to protect our heart, we normalize it. We normalize it to avoid the pain of being disappointed again, being frustrated again. We normalize the worst as a defense mechanism. And here's the thing, when you normalize the worst, you expect the worst, so you create the worst. Think about a girl who had a terrible experience with a guy. She normalizes that this is just how men are. All guys are the same and men are trash. She actually expects guys to do her wrong, and maybe she even expects them to cheat on her. So of course, that reality is created and they do. Now, I'm not saying that these guys are free from responsibility, but what I am saying is, if you want to get down with the universal laws, then you just gotta lock into what I'm saying. Regardless of whatever the reason you expect the worst is, the harsh truth is you get what you expect. Don't confuse what you want with what you expect, because they are not the same. You do not create what you want. You create who you are, and your expectation is the largest component of who you are. Think about expecting like ordering at a restaurant. If you want steak, but you ask for fish, what are they going to bring out? You cannot head east by going west. And here's a dangerous thing about expectations. They pretend to be truths when they show up in your face, but they're liars. Everything that we expect, we think is true, but it's only true because our minds have accepted it as truth. All truths are just ideas wearing the mask of a truth, but they don't have to be if you don't accept them as so. If you could just stop expecting the worst, you'd create your best life. But how do I expect the best, Nero? How do I do that? You have to dig ditches in the desert. The secret frequency of expectation is esoterically hidden in the Bible with the prophet Elijah. Now, of course, I'm not religious. I've got a Quran, I've got a Torah, I've got a Talmud, I've got a Bible, I've got a Bhagavad Gita. What I do look for in all of them is the esoteric wisdom in them all. I humble myself. So for you spiritual people that are like, oh, the Bible's a book of slavery, get out of here. Because before it was that, what it is a compilation of ancient Sumerian and Mesopotamian and other ancient civilization and mythological stories to explain the spiritual metaphors within you. But with that being said, going back to the prophet Elijah, during his time there was a severe drought, which meant there was no plants, no waters for animals and people. Now the king at the time ridiculed Elijah and asked him that he make God give rain, because we're in a drought, your God works, right? So make your God give us rain. And at the time there was also a battle, so they needed water for their success, because I mean, if you ain't got water, the people are going to be thirsty, there's going to be no animals, it's just luck. Elijah went up to the mountain and prayed to God. He then told the kings to go back to their camps and prepare to receive the water they asked for by digging ditches in the desert. Think about this. There's a severe drought, and one guy who says he talks to this God that nobody has seen, he's telling you to dig ditches in the desert when there's a drought. And if we go to 2 Kings 3:16 to 17, and he said, "Thus says the Lord, make this valley full of ditches. For thus says the Lord, you shall not see wind, nor shall you see rain, yet that the valley shall be filled with water, so that you, your cattle, and your animals may drink." Now, I want you to understand the esoteric nature of this. Elijah communicated with God, which is the mind, consciousness, and was told to prepare for what was not seen. He expected water. So the kings wisely listened, and they prepared for rain by digging ditches, and the clouds gathered together and rain fell, and the ditches were filled with water. They then were able to nourish their soldiers and animals, and they won the battle. Elijah, knowing the power of manifestation, instructed them to prepare and made it easy for them to receive. Now, I hope you see the esoteric nature in this. You must expect the best even in the worst. Elijah went up to the mountain, which means raising your mind above the world, moving beyond illusion and going into solitude, and communicated with God, which is talking within, going into the inner dimension, and then was instructed to expect what was not seen, because what you have to understand is you get what you expect. Expect the best even in the worst, and God, which is the mind consciousness, will create the best. Your life currently, it may be like a desert. It might seem hopeless, dry, and you may be stuck, but you must elevate yourself above the world and move on to the reality of your desires and expect that. You must expect the best, because in doing so, you prepare for it to reign with your desired reality. Now, all you need to do is just cross the bridge of past resentment, past frustrations, and past disappointments. I know. Every time you expect the best, it's the past experiences that hold you back. They cause fear within you of disappointment again. You want to protect yourself. It's a defense mechanism, but you need to be willing to put your heart out there again. But this time, with full conviction that your desired reality will take place, no matter what physical appearances say. Because like Elijah, you must go up to the mountain, go within, and communicate and pray to God. And if you want to understand the true way to pray, I suggest you go watch my video on the esoteric way to pray. With that being said, expect for it and prepare for it. This is the formula to manifest.